They say children should not wander into the silence of old places, where even the walls remember pain. They say bones do not speak, that eyes do not glow in the dark. But I know that's not true, because once, in a forgotten corner of the earth, I met a boy who found a skull and opened a door that should have remained shut. His name was Zikora. He was the son of Osuji and Ekemma, simple people who dug the ground, not for oil or gold, but for memories and forgotten things hidden in old colonial buildings, abandoned shrines and broken wells no one prayed beside anymore. Zikora, their only child, followed them wherever they went. Wherever they bent to dig, he squatted nearby and played by himself. One afternoon, under a very hot sun that burned their skins, they entered an overgrown compound outside the village as usual. A place said to have once been a palace, then a hospital, and now nothing. "Zikora, don't go too far," Ekemma warned Zikora, wiping sweat with the hem of her wrapper. "Yes, Mama," he said, as he went off to play but within their eyes' reach. As he played around, a blue light from behind the fallen walls began to glow. It glowed like it was calling him. And while his parents were busy with their work, Zikora walked to the fallen walls. As he looked, he saw something white in the sand, not a stone, not the bone of a goat or a fowl, but a skull. It was small like his. He picked it up. He froze as a cold wind passed through him like river water. His eyes widened, and suddenly he saw. He saw a boy his size from long time ago. A boy with blue eyes. A boy who could bend fire, twist air, and call thunder. But he used it all for pride, anger, destruction. He brought sorrow upon his people. And so, though he was only a child, the king gave the order to the greatest Dibias he could summon to his kingdom. Kill him and scatter his bones across villages so that his bones may never find peace. And they killed him, not with poison or blade, but with fear. They locked him up so that even ants and maggots would never find his dead body. The vision ended. Zikora's body dropped. His parents heard the third and they saw half his body on the floor. They rushed to him and shook him, calling his name, "Zikora!" He opened his eyes, and they were no longer black. They were blue. And so it began. At home, he would sit calmly, eating and playing happily, until someone annoyed him. Maybe a small slap for spilling water, a scolding for breaking glass, and then the wind would start. Plates would fly, doors would bang, voices would echo from nowhere, and Zikora, smiling with glowing eyes, would say softly, "He told me what to do, and he said I should never let anyone shout at me again." His parents wept. They called pastors, herbalists, and prayer warriors, but nothing worked. Then one night, a black bus came. They said they were from Ndo Institute, a place for special children. Ekemma clung to her son. "He's just a boy," she cried. But the man at the door said, "Yes, and if we don't help him, the boy will become the very thing that haunts him, and you may never get to hold him like this again." Osuji begged her, and finally she let them take him. They arrived at the institute the next morning. The institute was a big compound in the middle of nowhere. There were other children there, some who screamed fire, some who vanished in their sleep, some who couldn't speak, but whose drawings showed things that hadn't happened yet. Zikora faked writing, except he didn't. He was calm until someone insulted him, called him mad, strange, or shout at him and the air would shake. But one teacher, Auntie Forma, found the key. One day, after he overturned chairs, she simply walked to him, touched his head, and whispered, "Zikora, you're a good boy." And like a charm, he froze, blinked, and sat down quietly. "He's calm?" the other teacher, Auntie Joy, asked. "Yes, but be gentle." "Gentle, you say? After all this nonsense?" Joy snapped, pointing. "Somebody that's always behaving like an animal. Before she could finish, the windows shattered. Zikora's eyes turned blue again. The wind roared like a market when it was about to rain. The institute tried everything. Nothing held. Until she came. Tall, quiet, skin white like the sun after the rain. The first day she came, she ran around the school compound for a very long time in the morning, and she said nothing to anybody. "Who is this marathon woman?" one of the guards whispered. Nobody knew. Until one afternoon, Zikora screamed, rose into the air, and began turning desks into dust. She walked in. She was calm. "Zikora!" she yelled. "You are disturbing my peace." Zikora turned to her. He started chasing her and she ran. And they both ran across the hallways. Everyone was watching them. And after a while, she vanished. He was surprised, but he sniffed and searched. "I will find you. You can't hide from me. I can hear heartbeats. I can feel sweat." But he couldn't find her. Then she appeared behind him, rubbed his head and said, "Good boy, Zikora." He dropped to his knees and started smiling like a baby after getting a toy. Everyone was surprised she could do that. "My name is Antiocha," she told him. They tried it again the next day, and again the next, and again. Each time he raged, she taunted him and he chased her until she vanished. And each time he failed to find her, she rubbed his head and he calmed. Until he got bored. "Why must I be calmed?" he said one night. "Why must I stay here? The world is big. Let me go out and show them all what I can do." And he tried. On the day he made to leave the school, he was restrained by guards. He threw them off against the wall one by one. The school shook. Children screamed. Teachers fled. Auntie Forma saw Antiocha leaving too, but she begged her. "Please, he needs you. You know he's not doing this on his own." Ocha looked at her, said nothing, and walked out quietly. Outside was chaotic. People were running, screaming, the ground cracked. And then Ocha stood in front of the school while Zikora stood at the center of the storm, floating above the school, his eyes burning blue like cursed stars, his small hands spreading wind and ash like a god who had lost all patience with the world. Ocha raised her eyes to the sky and screamed. It was not a woman's scream, not human. It was a beast roar. She then transformed into a massive white sacred Nkumocha, the white beast of silence and light, said to live in the spaces between worlds. Her fur shimmered like moonlight. Her body towered like a mountain over everything and everybody. Everyone paused, even Zikora. Auntie Forma gasped. "As I live and breathe, it is the Nkumocha." The white beast ignored them and roared. Her roars burst through the windows. Zikora pursed mid-air, staring in shock. "You can't stop me," he said, with his proud but trembling voice. He threw some balls of lightning at her, but surprisingly, she did not dodge nor strike back. She simply knelt before Zikora and everywhere shook. She said, "I'm sorry." Zikora blinked. "Why are you sorry?" Her voice cracked like dry rain as she said, "For all the hands that hit you when they should have held you. For the mouths that shouted when they should have listened. For the silence that wrapped around your cries and locked them." The blue in his eyes flickered. She stood up and stepped closer to him, and from her mouth came words like prayers. "I see the boy before the power, the boy who just wanted to be his parents' child. I see him, and I love him, even like this." The wind stopped. His feet slowly touched the ground. His lips trembled. "Nobody ever said that to me." "Then let me be the first," she said to him. She reached out, not to bind him, not to cage him, but to offer her paw, like a mother reaching out to a scared child in the rain. He took it, and the moment their hands met, the light in his eyes softened, and from the skies above, a blue glow rose, not as fire, but as peace. They stood like that for a long time, beast and boy, spirit and soul, pain and forgiveness, wrapped in the kind of silence that heals. Then the beast spoke once more. You can stay, Zikora. We'll help you grow and teach you to control your powers. Or if you want to go to the edge of the world to calm down, I'll walk with you and I'll wait. He looked at the school. He looked at the children. He looked at the ones who feared him and the ones who didn't. I don't know what I want yet, he said to her. That's okay, she smiled, her voice fading back into warmth. Just don't decide in anger. She lifted him into her hands, and together they walked into the sunrise, not to a happy ending, but to a possible one. Because sometimes all a lost child needs is to be seen. The end.